Race, a group of people identified as distinct from others because of physical and genetic traits. The million-dollar question on everyone's mind. What is the difference between race and racism? Racism is exhibited hatred and prejudice against different racial groups. Racism has existed for a very long time, but prejudice against black Americans first started when they were brought as slaves at the start of the 17th century. However, some black Americans did receive their freedom, but they still faced discriminatory laws that restricted them from owning property or voting. After arriving to the colonies, black Americans didn't receive their freedom until 1866, which is when the Civil Rights Act was passed. The Civil Rights Act was passed in order to prohibit racial discrimination. Even after it was passed, many cases came to show how racial discrimination still existed against black Americans. Sweat versus Painter and McLaurin versus Oklahoma are two examples. Segregation. The action or state of setting someone or something apart from other people or things. The FEPC stated black Americans faced discrimination in 1 out of every 5 job interviews. Professional David Lenhart states white and Asian Americans tend to live in middle income neighborhoods. Meanwhile, black American middle income families tend to live in distinctly lower income housing. Now, Professor Michelle Alexander concludes it is no coincidence that the criminal justice system ramped up the processing of black Americans just as the Jim Crow laws, enforced since the age of slavery, ended. Crime. The U.S. has seen a surge in arrests and putting people in jail over the last 4 decades. This is mostly due to the war on drugs. Ethics. It is the foundation of the criminal justice system. It is what we use to help develop the moral reasoning. It's how we define criminal activity. Ethics' role in the justice system. Police, attorneys, and self-participation. The New York State Judicial Commission said there are two justice systems at work in our country. One of those systems is a wealth-based judicial system where those with high socioeconomic status are judged less harsh and separate from those of equal guilt but different color. In the other system, most cases are conducted in rat-infested basements, in courthouses filled with racial graffiti, and some only last for 4 to 5 minutes. William Wilbanks and Joanne Petersilia both stated that the system itself is not discriminatory, but it can be chalked up to certain important events and decision-making points that are influenced by racial discrimination. Now those points are black Americans were more likely to be released after an arrest than whites. However, they're more likely to get a longer sentence and put in prison if actually convicted of a felony. Now, the majority of the population will wonder, why does this matter to us? How is this new information relevant? How does it concern us? Well, the oppression and current racial discrimination can lead and has led to disastrous, catastrophic riots and major civilian casualties. In conclusion, black Americans are being oppressed and discriminated against in the U.S. justice system. This can be seen all throughout history and in present day economy and social life.